What if I told you there's a hidden master switch inside every single one of your cells? A single control system that connects some of the biggest, scariest challenges in modern medicine. Well, today, we're going to dive into what it is and why scientists are so incredibly focused on learning how to control it. So, let's just start with a huge question. What on earth could possibly connect something like Alzheimer's with diabetes and even heart disease? I mean, at first glance, they seem totally unrelated, right? They happen in different parts of the body, different systems, but it turns out they share a deep, hidden connection.
And the answer is kind of wild. It's a tiny sugar molecule. The sciencey name is o-glcnac, but don't worry about that. For our purposes, just think of it as a master switch. A little sugar that gets stuck onto proteins to turn them on or off, changing what they do, inside basically every cell you have. That's it. That's the common thread.
All right, so to really get how this all works, we've got to understand this master switch a little better. It's a really fundamental piece of our biology that's, believe it or not, only just started getting the attention it deserves.
Okay, here's that big word again, o-glcnacylation. It's a mouthful, I know, so let's just stick with calling it the sugar switch. The key thing to remember is this isn't some rare one-off event. This is happening constantly, all the time, to thousands of different proteins in your body, tweaking their function from one second to the next. It's a whole other layer of control we're just beginning to appreciate.
So how does this thing actually get flipped? Let's meet the two key players that are running the show.
It really comes down to a pair of enzymes that are in a constant tug of war. You've got OGT, which is the enzyme that adds the sugar. That's your on switch. And then you have OGA, which is the enzyme that removes that same sugar. That's your off switch. It's this non-stop cycle of adding and removing that fine-tunes everything in the cell.
And where does the sugar for this switch come from? Well, it comes directly from the glucose in the food you eat, your lunch basically. A special pathway in your cells takes that glucose and turns it into the exact little sugar molecule that the on switch uses. So right there, you have a direct physical link between what you're eating and the master control system inside your cells.
But this system isn't really as simple as just on or off. It is all about balance, and keeping that equilibrium just right is absolutely critical for your health. So yeah, maybe a simple light switch isn't the best analogy. A much better way to think about it is like a dimmer switch. It's constantly sliding up and down, fine-tuning the activity of proteins based on every meal you eat, every bit of stress you feel, every single signal your body is getting. It's a live sensor for what's happening in your body right now.
And we know this system is so important for at least three big reasons. One, it has a direct say in how your genes get expressed. Two, we see absolutely devastating diseases when the genes for the switch itself are broken. And three, the effects we see when we try to manipulate it with drugs are, well, they're profound.
Let's just focus on that second point. This isn't theoretical. When the gene for the on switch, OGT, is mutated in a person from birth, it can cause a severe condition known as X-linked intellectual disability. It is a truly heartbreaking, real-world example of just how critical a working sugar switch is for a developing human brain.
So what happens if we break this switch on purpose, say in a lab? The results we see in animal studies are they're dramatic and, frankly, super puzzling. Let's have a look.
Okay, first scenario. What if you just get rid of the on switch? You use genetic tools to completely delete the OGT gene in mice so the sugar can't be added to proteins anymore. What do you think happens?
It's a total catastrophe. If you delete it everywhere, the embryo just doesn't survive. Period. Delete it only in the heart? Heart failure. Only in the brain? Neurodegeneration. But then you get to skeletal muscle, and this is where it gets bizarre. If you delete the on switch there, the mice actually get better metabolism. They're protected from obesity, a complete and stunning paradox.
All right, so what about the other way around? What if we get rid of the off switch, OGA, and force the sugar switch to be stuck permanently on?
And you guessed it, another paradox. Deleting the off switch completely is also lethal. The system can't handle it. But if you only knock it down by about 50%, the mice get leaner and more resistant to putting on fat. It's more proof that too much or too little is a disaster, but a gentle nudge can actually be good. It all comes back to that delicate balance.
So you see this incredibly powerful, complicated system, and you know what scientists are thinking, right? They want to hack it. They want to find a way to control this switch with medicine to treat disease.
And their main tool for doing this has been a drug called thiamet-g.
Its job is simple. It finds that off switch, OGA, and it blocks it. It gums up the work so the sugar can't be removed, which basically forces the sugar switch into the on position all over the body. And the initial excitement, especially for diseases like Alzheimer's, was just off the charts. The first studies in mice were incredibly promising. The drug seemed to reduce the toxic tau protein, which is a hallmark of Alzheimer's. It was slowing down cell death, cleaning up plaques in the brain, and even helping mice perform better on cognitive tests. It really looked like a home run.
But science is rarely that simple. As more and more studies came out, the picture got really messy. In some experiments, the drug actually made memory worse. In other studies, it didn't touch the toxic tau at all. Sometimes it even seemed to make certain things worse. The results were just all over the map.
And really, this quote from the research sums it all up. What scientists started to realize is that the drug was definitely having an effect, for sure, but it wasn't the simple, clean effect on the tau protein that everyone was hoping for. The sugar switch was working through all these other complicated pathways that, frankly, we still don't fully get.
So, where does that leave us?
Well, it actually points us toward a much more sophisticated, and I think much more exciting, future for how we treat these diseases.
The huge takeaway from all this research is pretty clear. You can't just take a sledgehammer and try to force this switch into one position. That's not the answer. The real goal, the future, is to develop treatments that can gently restore the system's natural, dynamic balance. We need to install a dimmer, not just flip a toggle switch.
And that leaves us with this final, really fascinating idea to think about. We've been talking about this tiny sugar as a biological switch, but what it really is a piece of our body's own internal programming. So maybe the future of medicine isn't just about attacking diseases with outside drugs, but about learning how to gently edit and fine-tune our body's own software to restore health from the inside out.